Good morning, everyone. I am not seeing video on YouTube. Please forgive me. We are running a new piece of software here so I can stream on two platforms at once. And I'm trying to make sure that's working on both. So just give me a sec here to... There we go. Okay, that's just a little bit of lag on YouTube. Everybody should be able to hear me just great. Sorry for the little bump here just at the beginning. I just want to make sure that everything's working right. Now streaming on D Live. That's right. I am streaming on D Live right now, I believe. And I should be doing the same on YouTube. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. This is episode 84, the U-2 satellites. In fact, excuse me, the word U and 2 needs a little dash in between it. I will fix that later, though, because that would be funny if I destroyed this whole stream by trying to add a dash mark, and that is not going to happen. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to say hi to the chats. There are now two chats. I'm saying hi to the D-Live folks. If you guys can tell me you're hearing me okay, please do. And a hello to YouTube. Hi, Holly Bear. Thanks for the super chat. Ladles up. Here you can see you, James. Great. Thanks a lot, guys. So yesterday... Quite an episode, right? There has been some pushback. None of you should be surprised. I certainly have not. I need to take this pushback, though, as an opportunity to ask you all to please take a moment and bow your heads. And let's think of those people that are convinced that the CIA went back in time 50,000 years and installed the flat earth theory. That is a deep aperture, man. The people that have that is deep. And I gotta tell you guys, I admire you. I admire you for your resilience to stick to it. But seriously, I actually want to thank, when I say thank, shit, it sounds like I'm getting an award. Here's what I mean. Our truths that we have, the content that I brought you yesterday, 92% of it has been built by others before me, right? I heavily linked Planete Veritas, who did a lot of that work on the Corona program. But also I'm talking about people like Glowbusters. I'm talking about people like Darrenism. I'm talking about Flat Earth Brothers. I'm talking about Taboo Conspiracy. I'm talking about Eric Dubay. I'm talking about all of the people that have been forging and pushing this truth long before I got here. There is a massive shame vortex that surrounds you the moment you call NASA out on its bullshit. I will admit that right now the atmosphere is much more friendly. In fact, you're in more danger of wearing a NASA shirt, even if you're being ironic. Like most of us, like me, myself, I don't think it's possible for you to wear a NASA shirt ironically. Seriously, I think it's just a pure sign of either your lack of emotional intelligence for not understanding like the truth of it all, or just your lack of intelligence for actually accepting it and believing it. However, I'm not here to argue with fashion. I have 4 collars on. I mean, what does that show you? You know. And you've seen my hair. So I am not here to argue what should be the fashion trends, but it is important that we acknowledge that the ones that have come before us, that have burned so much fuel to allow us to travel as far as we've gotten to yesterday, are trailblazers. Hats off to you guys. Thanks for being there. Dirt, you're in there too. I have no idea how to even say that word. Dittersh, you're in there too. Don't mean to leave anyone out. In fact, I probably have left someone out. And someone's like, that fucker didn't mention me. And I hear you, man. That sucks. I'm live stream though, you know. I don't write all this stuff down. Let's take that moment to think about who I've forgotten and watch this, okay?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For a moment, let us think back to a point in time to October the 24th, 1957, to be precise. On that date, the President's Board of Consultants on Foreign Intelligence Activities submitted its report to President Eisenhower on the status of the intelligence community's collection capabilities. With strong urging from Dr. Edwin Land, the board called for a reassessment of the Air Force's SAMOS satellite reconnaissance system, then under development by the Air Force. This was a complicated system based on electrical transmissions of images from space. At the same time, the A-12 Oxcart reconnaissance aircraft proposed by CIA was given a careful evaluation. The board held that while both were promising programs, the critical need for intelligence at that point in time warranted an interim photo reconnaissance system that could get into operation earlier than the SAMOS could be ready. This was a significant decision, particularly for that era. Just 20 days before, the Soviet Union had orbited the world's first satellite, Sputnik 1, from the Churatam range. The United States was still over 3 months away from launching its first small satellite. But the need for reliable intelligence on Soviet missile deployment was becoming more and more urgent. The so-called missile lag debate was already underway, with the Senate prepared a subcommittee holding hearings on this issue. The White House responded rapidly to the board's recommendations.
I'm going to stop this here. The reason why I'm showing you this is because you are seeing the origins of not only satellites themselves, but the covering up of the program that would be satellites at the same time. If you remember yesterday from our live stream, showed you that paper that Planetan Veritas, that PV showed you about the SAMOS program, and you're seeing that SAMOS program is wrapped into the Corona program, and both these systems are hiding the truth of what satellites are. The reason why I'm showing you this is because I want you guys to understand something about the atmosphere. You've been taught that there's a troposphere, stratosphere, a mesosphere, an exosphere, right? The very, very tip top. You've been taught that there's all these levels of atmosphere. And that's true. I'm not here to say that's not true. What I'm here to tell you is that you're missing the true layers of atmosphere. Keep in mind how powerful symbolism is in this world. If you understand how powerful symbolism is, you understand how powerful height is. Aleister Crowley, one of many people, was a famous mountaineer. He felt that there was an energetic change to his circuitry if he had been taller than any other man in the world. The same for the wickedest man in the world. All of these are transactions, belief technologies that he's entered into with the world, where he's allowed to pull power from laws, from symbolic laws. That's what you're seeing when you see most elite ceremonies, most references to 33, most references to any kind of symbology is going to be based on what kind of belief technology can I extract from this ore. It's very similar to mining for gold. If everyone believes that symbolically 33 is a serious source of power, then if you were to find something that came in the term of 33 that you could showcase to everyone else, everyone would therefore give it prana and give it that power. It would be charged. Height, elevation, is no exception. The reason why we got rid of giants is because they were too fucking smart. We were like, no, we can't have those people around. That's fucked up. I'm making a joke here, but it's true. There is a transaction. Your meat antenna is taller the taller you are. You are capable of broadcasting more thought, more wisdom, more prana, more ego. You're a taller antenna. You have a different amplitude than a smaller antenna. The same intrinsic idea applies to our entire world. The tallest building, right? The significance of the tallest building in the world has the exact same motif to it. Just as the position of something on the world, right? The center of the world. We used to have civilization after civilization after civilization. Oracle of Delphi, the Great Pyramids, Egyptian culture, Sumerian culture. All of these had a massive battle for the center of the world. It was truly the birth of Saturnalia itself. The idea of marking the world is a ritual in positioning, global positioning. All right. As that applies to the atmosphere, it's no different. Where do the decisions come from in government? They come from the top. Right? Why? Because the person on top is considered in charge. Who's at the top floor of the penthouse, right? Who at the skyscraper, the top floor is considered the most powerful, which, by the way, is completely back-asswards. You're as far away from the ground as you possibly can. You're not grounded at all. But that's how Zeitgeist Zionism kind of works. It has this concept in mind of height. Let's get back to atmosphere. All right? You as a civilian, no offense, but you don't have helium. You don't have an airship. You don't have an FAA license to even make an airship. You as a civilian, the highest you were allowed to go is 50,000 feet. Some of you, a very small percentage of you, are right now going, it's bullshit because the Concorde is 60,000. Some of you have been 60,000 feet because you rode in a Concorde. Or you had a friend of a friend who rode in a Concorde. So now you think you're special. So fine, go ahead. Claim that you have 60,000 feet. But as a civilian, we are not allowed above 50,000 feet. It's illegal. There's no legal way for us to be above 50,000 feet. All right? That first layer, from 0 to 50,000 feet, that is the civiliosphere. Civiliosphere, right? The civilian atmosphere has a limit to it. There's no getting above that. All right? That's 50,000 feet. What's above 50,000 feet? You have the Air Force field. You have the millosphere, right? Civiliosphere and militariosphere. All right? That's going to get you anywhere from 50,000 to 80,000, maybe 100,000 feet. Okay? You're allowed to go up there as long as the military's approved it. Maybe it's probably more like 110,000 feet. It's probably closer to that. That's the militariosphere. All right. Only a select few is going to be able to go into that portion. All right. In fact, an astronaut itself, when you earn your astronaut wings, you do that because you've risen above 80,000 feet. It's someone will correct me, I'm sure, but there's a marker you get when you're considered officially an astronaut. Why? Because you are now in the elite. You are one of maybe 20. It's probably more than 20, but who's gone above that ceiling? It's definitely less than 100. All right. That's the miliosphere. There is a atmosphere above that, my friends, and that is the clown sphere. The clown sphere. And this clown sphere is capable of having elite access to this upper atmosphere. And no one else gets to see it. No one. Including the U-2 spy plane. By the way, CIA, this is CIA film. They're showing you rocket, but it's never used. It's like squirting. This is a CIA film.
By the summer of 1957, the U-2 had already spent a year in service. It had never been intended as operational for more than a year or two. The operational life expectancy was based on the likelihood that the Soviets would in some months track it successfully, and with accurate tracking data in hand, bring pressures to discontinue the flights. As it turned out, we had misjudged the Soviet air surveillance capability at the time, and their radars had tracked every flight from the first. The Soviets filed a protest, and a stand-down was ordered. After that, overflights were made only sporadically, although for 3 more years, the U-2 ranged over much of the rest of the world. And so we set out on December 8, 1957, to build and develop what has become known as Corona, the world's first photographic reconnaissance satellite.
The Corona is the first world's reconnaissance satellite program. And it was housed on the U-2. And the U-2 was a very simple platform at first. It only had, let me see, is this the right one?
The
Nope. Sorry guys, is this the right one? Is this the right one? Yes, it is. Hang on a second, guys. Sorry, I forgot. You have to hit this refresh thing and tell it, no, I gave you a new picture, so fix it. Sorry about that. Just give me a second. U-2, here we go. Okay, this U-2 platform. Notice the video told you, oh, the U-2 was just for a year or two. In fact, we had to scrap it because of Sputnik. Just like in the first movie, you heard that the reason why we had to start the Corona project was because of Sputnik. Why did we get started in the space program? Because of Sputnik. There was a demonstrated fear that we all had because of fucking Sputnik. Billions of dollars were spent because of Sputnik. Picture yourself in the clownosphere. Does Sputnik pay you? Or does it take money away from you? Think about that. The U-2 program was born as a light, high-altitude platform aircraft. It's built for a platform. What you're looking at here is straight off the CIA website. It's actually on Wikipedia too. Analogy for ORS Tier 2 operating concept. Recon wing capability of space. Notice that there are responsive platforms. Podcasters, you're looking at one of the first photographs of the U-2, and it's showing you about 10 or 11 different pieces of furniture that you can attach to the recon wings of the U-2. And let's read them. Responsive platforms, satellite buses. Satellite buses. Plug-and-play satellite payloads. Launch vehicles, and rapid build-up turn times. JFC call-up, operation non-acquisition, air tasking order responsiveness, sustained high-ops tempo. Basically high-level squirting that you don't get to hear about. Now here's the important part. Payload flexibility. Telescopes. COM packages. Mini SAR, RFID, PAN, MSI, HSI backplane. I don't know what those mean, guys. On-demand launchers and more satellites, responsive buses. You're looking at a satellite platform called the U-2 that they claimed that was only going to be built for 2 years. Meanwhile, they were shooting rockets up and the rocket would go up super high and a payload would eject. And that payload would have a parachute, and that parachute would fall. And as that payload's falling, it's taking pictures. Lots and lots and lots of pictures. That system was in place before we even had U-2s. We'd swoop in behind it and catch it. I'm sorry I don't know the name of this plane, but this is an Air Force reconnaissance plane. You can see it's actually picking up the drogue chute. You see that little holster there? It's catching it. The U-2 plane in that CIA film you saw was the Corona project was meant for physical retrieval. This is important. The Corona project was meant for physical retrieval of payload from satellites. Not electronic, physical. All right? The moment you start to think about that this entire satellite program was built for physical retrieval of canisters inside the satellite, tells you not once were these ever considered to be working in space. You guys know what happens when you enter atmosphere. You know what happens if you're 250 miles above from what we've been told, right? Remember the space shuttle tiles? And oh my God, the tiles are falling off and it's gonna die. All the drama related with that. This was a physical retrieval system from day one. Day one. All right, all of this stemmed from Sputnik. All of it. Who did Sputnik help? It helped the clownosphere. It created the clownosphere. And what's important to understand about the clownosphere is that it's an international space. All right, the International Space Station is the clownosphere. It's a central lobby for the clownosphere. The 7 nations participating in the ISS have created a mutual blackmail hot potato where they have their own space program and their own approach to it. And because they own the clownosphere with everyone else, they have a conglomerate platform that they can use to manipulate their people. The exact same way Eisenhower scared us all by claiming the Sputnik meant we were in serious, serious trouble. That if we didn't do something about this right now, we're all gonna die.
Its importance from today's perspective is momentous. In the weeks after Sputnik 1, there was pressure from all quarters to accelerate the U.S. missile and space program. And there was much public debate about military versus civilian control of the space program.
Earth satellites, in themselves, have no direct present effect upon the nation's security. However, there is real military significance to these launchings, as I have previously mentioned publicly. Their current military significance lies in the advanced techniques and the competence in military technology they imply. For example, the powerful propulsion equipment necessarily used.
On 8 February 1958, the President placed authority for all military space projects under the newly formed Advanced Research Projects Agency, ARPA. The splitting off of Corona from Weapons System 117L, the Air Force satellite program, was accomplished by ARPA just 20 days later. At about the time CIA's headquarters was being built, Project Corona was begun. It was decided at the beginning that the photographic subsystem of the Air Force's WS-117L, offering the best prospect for early success, be placed under joint CIA Air Force management, an approach which had been highly successful in covertly developing and operating the U-2s.
All right, he just told you that the entire CIA building was being constructed as Corona was rolling out. Okay, and not only that, but the very first it showed you, and it was successful because they were able to build the U-2 without anyone in the military knowing it. And basically they're handing the keys over to the entire satellite PSYOP to the international CIA. To the international CIA. How do you know it's international? Because of Sputnik. Guys, Sputnik is a pinball. It's a horrible, the worst PSYOP you've ever seen. Look at that thing. And we'll get to more proof, as some of you guys are still doubting it. By the way, before we go on, I've been contacted again by someone who said, James, it's really irresponsible of you to doubt Wayne L. Sexton. And I've asked them to build a video. And they said in their comment, it's so irresponsible, it's so easy for anyone to see. And I've asked them, I begged them, can you please make a video on Wayne L. Sexton? And please send that to us, and I will showcase it on this channel. I will showcase this expose on Wayne L. Sexton and how real she is, and how wrong it is for all of us to make the assumption that something CNN says that has the character name Wayne L. Sexton would somehow not be true. So I offer that to any of you. Anyone who's doubting the authenticity of Wayne L. Sexton, please make a tape and send it in. Please. The truth has to get out. We have to know the truth about Wayne L. Sexton. And I appreciate your passion for Wayne L. Sexton. I appreciate your perseverance to believe in Wayne L. Sexton when no one else would. When everyone else said Wayne L. Sexton was bogus and bullshit, you said, I believe in Wayne L. Sexton. That's what you said. And I want you to know I'm proud. Stay that way. Stay the course. Submit your link. Start a YouTube channel. Change the world. You can fix CNN's credibility by showing everyone that Wayne L. Sexton was real. The same way you can do it with satellites. The same kind of things I got yesterday from people on Twitter. James, I'm a professional satellite dish installer. How dare you suggest that satellites aren't real? My answer to you is please read your literature. Please read what it is you're actually installing. Read the fine print. Go look up what the word space means on Wikipedia. Go look up what the word satellite means. Go look and notice that you own the dish. No one else does. It belongs to you. That's your technology. It's not theirs. Okay? There's no opportunity for you to declare fraud because the language has been built in such a way where you're not going to be able to legally call them out for fraud. That's what government does. That's how black magic works. All right? It's how it all works. You were never, ever, ever, ever going to find Waynell Sexton admitting what she did, admitting who she is. Guys, it doesn't work that way. You're looking at an elementary truth, and you're never going to get it. That's a facade. That's what you were shown from school grades 1 through 12. You were taught that there's a truth, and that it's regurgitated to you, and you can repeat it, and it will be true. And now you have this knowing thing, this petrified belief system called knowing. Don't fall for it, all right? Yes, Don Lemon loves Waynell Sexton, as Foo Bear says. Find that truth, guys. Look past it, all right? If you can't handle this stuff, stop watching the channel. I realize this is painful for some of you. The rest of us are enjoying the mystery that we find. We've discovered that there's mystery in the world, that not everything's figured out. In fact, it's the opposite. Most of it's lies. It's a pretty exciting place to be. It's a new frontier, all right? What we thought were finished frontiers are not finished at all. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to be here. There's nothing sad about this at all. These platforms are your satellite program. This is a U-2 camera. This is back in the 50s. They've been working on this for a long time. The guy on the left designed the U-2. The guy on the right's a clown pilot. Not an Air Force pilot. He's a clown pilot. Gary Powers. Yeah, his name's Gary Powers. This is that U-2 close-up. It's showing you, look, here's the platform we built. You've got on the left, you've got imaging, 3 imaging cameras. I don't know what the very left one though, but those are all imaging cameras. And on the right, you've got radio RF cameras. These platforms and payloads are built for physical reconnaissance, which means that this capsule that you think is floating in space is actually suspended from a parachute. It's suspended from a parachute so it can be caught. And while it's up there in the parachute, this U-2 is allowed to talk to it. Here's an empty U-2. It doesn't have any payload underneath it, right? This is a horse without its saddle. These are suspended from balloons. And they're not lying by showing you this. All of this is real. You can go there and watch it. You'll meet someone. I was in the factory. I polished the glass. And they did. But it's top secret what happens once this is in space. It's in clown world now. It's suspended from balloons. These guys, the U-2s, are just there to communicate. It's the C-19s that scoop them up. I doubt this is a C-19 right here, but these are the planes that scoop them up. They've got these long tethers. This has been doing this for a long time. It was always about physical capture. Not RF, physical. All right? That tells you everything you need to know. And we need to remember how important it is that space is sexy for them. If space is sexy, you'll buy it. If space is sexy, you'll freak out. That's why you have the wow, someone's just GM. Wow, this guy's having a bad. Someone needs to tell me how to ban that guy. I'll do it. Wow. Sorry, I don't know how to do that. Let me see. Delete and mute. There. Sorry, guys. Man, that guy had a mouth on him, didn't he? I'll figure that out, guys. Thank you. We have some D-Live squirters coming in the room, causing trouble. Okay, so you get that part. What is this?
The U-2 flew as part of a CIA operation to overfly the USSR, gathering photographic intelligence. The aircraft's great altitude was supposed to protect it from interception. But on the 1st of May 1960, Soviet missile defenses had shot down a U-2 piloted by Gary Powers over Ekaterinburg. Powers being captured and held until February 1962. A danger of flying near the North Pole was loss of compass because of the Earth's magnetic field, and Maltby would navigate using the stars. As the mission progressed, the shining aurora made it difficult to differentiate stars. He collected his samples when he thought he was close to the North Pole, turned port 90 degrees, then reversed the turn for 270 degrees.
Okay, a couple things there. Number one, can't see the stars from the ISS, but you can from a U-2. Just want to point that out. I don't know how that happens, but that's what they're saying. All right. Number two, that was Gary Powers. This guy. He wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only CIA guy. Notice that when he got captured, it created a beautiful psyop. Now you have spy versus spy. There's even a spy exchange. This was actually the second CIA pilot that was captured by Russia. Both times. The first time, it actually led to the building of the Berlin Wall. The second time, it was claimed that you almost caused massive nuclear wars, what Russia said to us, because of this program. And again, what does that make us do? Spend more money, spend more money, spend more money. Find more ways to do it. Where's that other guy? Got this other guy in here. May not have made it into this thing. Yeah, I don't think he did. The other pilot was Molesby. Molesby, that's who it was. Actually, I think he might be in this video here. Now, this is all the reason you need to explain satellites, to explain space, to explain it all. Whoever's the highest is going to get more prana. They're going to be like an antenna. They're going to have that reverence. The exact same way that the government said, while all of you could do airships, only us could do space. It's the same kind of techniques. It's the same kind of taking over. Space, being the clownosphere, is all about illusion. And the only way that illusion works is to make it sexy. That's why it rains diamonds on Neptune. That's why all the crap you hear about Pluto, the silhouette on Pluto of a dog, we want to penetrate Uranus deeper than we've ever been before with a probe. That was one of NASA's last headlines. They are going for deep, no pun intended, they're going to deep penetration in your mind. Remember, effective propaganda is charismatic and enchanting. And when you look at an astronaut, what you're truly looking at is an actor on the stage. When a B-2 flies over Russia, that pilot is an actor. When two MiGs are sent out, forget the word, quarried. When two MiGs come out to track him down, those are actors too. The people who run the war, the CIA, the clowns, they know. They probably have a communication about, we're going to send a U-2 over into your space. We're going to do this. We're going to send our clown, our actor, in. He's going to fly to your space. He's going to claim he wasn't able to see. He couldn't see the stars. North Pole was so confusing. Oh my God, that's why we don't fly over the South Pole. He's going to get captured and have this beautiful news story about it. We're going to have this nuclear meltdown, these talks. Everyone's going to freak out about it for a while. Then we'll exchange our prisoners back. Lesson done. It serves both sides. The Chinese virus, right? Right now we're fighting the Chinese virus. Right now there are war squirters out there like George Webb telling you how dangerous and how this is the fault of China. This is the clownosphere, right? George isn't even smart enough to be a clown. He's the bitch of the clownosphere. You see how it works? It's a gross system. And no one has to know what's going on. That's what's so beautiful about it. This is all compartmentalized. It's so easy to compartmentalize this. Why? Because you can show someone a picture without a parachute. You can show someone everything about their system with zero parachutes attached to it, and it's all completely believable. It's all part of the illusion. And you're like, yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, it's spinning at thousands and thousands of miles an hour. That's why it's able to get such a stable picture each time, because it's going that fast. We want to believe. It's charismatic. We want to believe. It doesn't matter how many lies we're told. I think what happened with the Challenger was pretty simple. They sent the Challenger up. It was a bottle rocket. That's why everything was so big, made a lot of noise, had a lot of color, right? They sent that up and it exploded. It was either an accident or on purpose. Both have a profit for NASA. They win both ways. I'm tempted to say it's an accident. And the reason why is because these guys are still alive. This is Challenger crew. And these people are all still alive. They're all living happy lives right now. Some of you might say, no, James, it was an accident. They purposely planned that to explode. And it could be. It could be. But when you explain how government works, if you really want to know how government works, there's a lot of accidents. I was in the military. There's a lot of fucking accidents. A lot of just really stupid calls. No one talks about friendly fire. But more people die of friendly fire probably than enemy fire, honestly. It's probably an accident that they capitalized on. This is all about fantasy, right? There's Kubrick. Here's Glenn. Look at him. Look at how silly he is. How do you have thread that survives the perils of space? How come there's a vacuum chamber? I think it's at Goddard, owned by NASA. Right, the world's largest near pure vacuum gravity chamber, and they've never put an astronaut inside it. Wouldn't it be safer to expose him while you're on the ground so you could pressurize that thing and get him out? But no, it's considered too dangerous. It's too dangerous. It's weird. It's not just weird. It's showing you exactly the truth of it all. And the fact is, we want it to be true. I'm bringing this up because I posted this a long time ago on Twitter. If we the people crowdfunded a cabal-free, open-source satellite camera like Google Earth, we would know the truth instantly. We would. If we crowdfunded our own satellite, if we crowdfunded our own reconnaissance photo system where we knew no one would be changing the pictures, right? If we did that and we flew it over Antarctica, one of these balloons lasts 30 days. That's 15 days over, 15 days back. We would know instantly. It's not fair for us to say, well, we were fooled by Sputnik. It's not fair because we become a slave, we become a victim when we say we were fooled. It's better to say we didn't want to know. It's better to just admit that we were afraid of knowing. We were afraid of knowing, and we created satellites because we wanted to stay here. We wanted to stay here with our head in the clouds, looking at a place we could never go. What does that do to your energy? It grounds it. It puts you in a state of wonder, right? Wonder is a trance state. It's a state of submission. Yes, you're submitting to the wonder. You're worshiping the wonder. And 32 Saturn rockets, the largest explosions you could ever imagine, were launched because we were satisfied with that. We wanted to keep looking. We didn't mind being limited to 60,000 feet. We liked it better. We wanted our Zeppelins full of lead. We wanted a helium embargo. We wanted a helium monopoly. America did that to the entire world. It's still doing it. And it told everyone this story about satellites. And then you end up with Clown World on the ISS. Now, I've told you guys before that the ISS is a blackmail machine. I've said that because it's an excellent tool where different countries can go in on a lie together and be held accountable. It's a form of having a pact. Two enemies can agree by making them both vulnerable. And I bring this up because on July 16th, 2013, it was the anniversary of the Apollo 11 launch. An Italian astronaut reported that he nearly drowned while outside the space station in his spacesuit. Now, that's the anniversary of the Apollo 11 launch. And it's weird to tell someone to be an Italian astronaut in space and to tell the whole world that I almost drowned. You should listen to that. It was on the Apollo 11 anniversary. On the anniversary. Now take that and place it on the side and go, okay, that's interesting, James. Doesn't prove anything. And like I said, you're not going to prove anything in the clanosphere because you can't get up there to see it. Right? You're dealing in a sea of lies. All you're going to do is find yourself going, well, I can't believe that you would doubt something like Wayne Sexton. That's what you have to do because you can never disprove what you can never experience. But take that example, that one example of the Italian drowning astronaut, and just put it on the side and realize that on August 20th, the anniversary, again, of NASA landing on Mars, the biggest accomplishment they ever claimed. Again, the second biggest, right? If you want to say Apollo 11's the first. The landing on Mars is the second. On that anniversary, a Russian astronaut says, yeah, I was outside the ISS and there's sea plankton on the solar panels. Sea plankton. And you have these two accusations on really big days that suggest the ISS is in water. That somehow it might be in a pool in Texas. That somehow these 11 countries and then 7 who went in on this clownosphere lie were maybe not happy with the United States. Or maybe not happy with their relationship. We're possibly using the news to distribute information that would jeopardize the hold of the blackmail. It's an attempt to expose it. I would offer that Covfefe, C-O-V-F-E-F-E, the tweet by Trump, is the same system. He was telling someone, I almost said COVID, years before it was released. These are all instruments of elite blackmail. You guys have seen my presentation on that before. I list the top 5. Top 5 elite blackmail. One of which is the ISS. One of which is the fact that we have a pool with every single flag in the world draped over that pool that's participating in the ISS and a fully submersible, complete outfitted ISS unit underwater. And we're claiming that that allows us to test what it's like in a vacuum, when it's literally the opposite kind of pressure. A, it's not deep enough, but B, having water push against the ISS is the opposite of having the ISS pulled apart by a vacuum. Meanwhile, we will not put any man in a vacuum chamber on Earth because it's too dangerous. And there's video of that one astronaut who they tried to do that. He fell over backwards, his eyes started to boil. You can't do it. I realize I'm preaching the choir right now. But there's this desire to believe that's more important than our search for truth. I think it's a result of evacuation. It's a result of not trusting yourself. It's a result of lacking the sovereignty. You want the missiles to keep you down. You want the satellites to make you feel better. It's weird. You want the vaccines. It's all the same. People don't know where their passion should go. And so they'll throw it out to anyone. Wherever it gets the most virtue is where they'll send it. That was where Floyd died. George Floyd died. They've turned George Floyd's place of death, allegedly, into a shrine where white women wearing masks can be baptized by black women wearing masks, where there is a stage built where we can show the world how affected we are by George Floyd. This is Sputnik. This is why Sputnik works. Let's watch again. It's okay, white girl. It's okay, white girl. It's okay, white girl. And I was so white. And now, right? The exact same energy that we had buying into Sputnik, you see on display right now. And look at the virtue. Imagine yourself a cucked liberal that believes that you're inherently born with bronze racism molecules in your statues. That you show up at a store and go, "Oh, hey, I'm white." And the other cashier's like, "Oh, hey, white girl, let me give you a discount. Thanks for being white." When you have this fetish for black people, the fetish is a weakness. When you have a fetish for satellites, when you have a fetish for 32 Saturn rockets that look like penises exploding, you find yourself worshiping things that haven't earned your worship. I was white, and now I'm not as white. She's giving me some of her blackness. This guy back here, "I'm looking for a black girl. Need someone to give me some black over here." Thank you for your blackness. Let me have your blackness. Right? These are ceremonies. I'm being baptized in your blackness. Please. And I'm not even making fun of them. I'm trying to tell you how we as a collective get so off track. How we look to charisma and effective propaganda and find it enchanting, which allows us to abandon ourselves and fall into the spell. Fall into the mystery of there being no mysteries. Accept lies in place of not knowing. Accept virtue in place of pride. Watch these women. They are energetically asking for the pranic energy, the electrons, to please be absorbed into their skin. They're asking for melanin. Look, she felt it, right? She just felt it. Poor guy, he's really wanting it. Look. That's been us for thousands of years. Thousands of years. It's been that way. And that's why we're here. That's why we're in Dojo Earth. We cannot be trusted because we will fall for Sputnik. We will fall for satellites. We will fall for melanin baptism ceremonies. We will fall for anything except for the idea that there's something out there that we don't know. It's self-soothing mechanism, right? It's a self-soothing mechanism. What is this? Don't know what that is. Crowdfunding. Let's play that again. I'll give you black. Have some black. Here's some melon. I need some melon over here. You've got such great melanin. Are they praising black people there? Is that respect? Is that how it's done? How many times? Right? How many times? The answer is as long as it takes for us
The U-2
to keep falling for this stuff, right? As long as I get emails from people telling me you have no right to doubt CNN and Waynell Sexton, that you have to have proof that they're lying. Think about it. CNN doesn't have to have proof they're telling the truth. We as watchers have to have proof that they're lying. That's how bad it's gotten. And that's the same argument you hear from people on satellites. The last stick in the coffin for me when I was solving satellites was a concept called Doppler Shift. The satellite itself is emitting an RF signal. A ham radio basically is attached to the satellite. It's emitting a signal, and there's a Doppler shift attached to it. And all the people that were arguing with me that satellites are real were telling me, James, it had to be real because of Doppler shift. See, the satellite goes over, and you're going to hear a right? You're going to like a train. And it took me like a year because I realized, oh, they're right. I have to come up with why they're lying because it's NASA and the CIA, and we have to believe that what they're saying is true, that it's my job, right, to extract proof that something doesn't exist. An impossible task, by the way. And it wasn't until I found out that Picard's balloon, the reason why he was up in the air for 18 hours instead of 6, was because when he got up to the top, the sun rose. And it heated his balloon so much that he went higher. And it freaked out, and he couldn't come back down. He had to wait for the sun to get farther enough away on its path to where his balloon could cool down and he could fall. Why? Because you're undulating. You're undulating. And as the sun hits your balloon, it heats, and when it lets go, it flies. And it took me a year where I was like, okay, satellites are real because of Doppler shift. Satellites are real because of Doppler shift. And it took me a freaking year to realize, wait a minute, isn't this a Doppler shift too? And you realize that you're never going to satisfy the person that climbed up into the tree and drilled a satellite dish into the tree. Because it's going to tell you, no, I know satellites are real because I had to burn those calories to put that satellite dish in the tree. The same people will show you a photograph of what looks like a hologram of the ISS. A little blip on the screen, just white and black pixels. Same thing as a black hole, right? Where they show you this picture and they say, no, this proves that everything they say is real. Because I can look at their website, and at X amount of time, they've told me I'm going to see something fly really fast across the sky at this location. And it'll take you a year, 2 years, however long it will, because you'll go, okay, it must be true. Everything they say must be true because we saw some sort of object fly by. And therefore, it must be the ISS. There must be people on board. And everyone there's wearing hairspray, but it has nothing to do with anything else. You can go there. You can stay there in that pit. You can stay in that kiddie pool. Or you can go, how do you know that's not just a U-2? How do you know it's not just a U-2 that's outfitted to look like it has panels? Could it be that a U-2 could hold things under its wings? Could it be that the wing capability is actually built specifically for space? Could it be that it has a responsive platform able to plug and play satellite payloads, launch vehicles, and support satellite busing? Or is it instead that everything they've told you about farts on Neptune, about raining diamonds, about all the bullshit they've told you about, that has to be true instead? Guys, NASA cannot even predict the movement of the planets. I realize that most of you think that they can, and I thought that too. But if you dig into their website, these are ancient Sumerian maps, predictive maps that they're using for this. NASA believes in Planet X. They believe that there is a missing large body planet that's accounting for all their math errors in their orbit. Guys, they will admit, they will tell you, we have no idea. There's something else missing, and that's why whenever we fuck up and we don't have the numbers right, we can blame it on Planet X. But meanwhile, these old charts we found, these Sumerian charts, those are good. But we know everything because we're NASA. Because mystery is not on the menu here because so many people get pissed when we serve mystery. They're like, we don't want Brussels sprouts. We want fucking donuts. And the CIA is going to serve whatever people will eat. NASA's going to serve whatever people will eat. Guys, think about what they're telling you about the orbit of planets. I don't think people even realize how nuts this is. It's one thing that they told you, well, yeah, they go in a circle around a planet. And then as we grow up, we're like, well, the map doesn't work there. Then we're like, well, it's an elliptical. That's what it is. Yeah, this turns out the sun can only pull it in on this elliptical. The math still doesn't work. Now, it's a variable speed elliptical, James. Duh. It gets super, super fast around the sun, then it goes really slow. And it gets super, super fast around the sun, it gets really slow. And super, super fast around the sun, really slow. And all the other planets, as they get closer and mess with it, doesn't affect it in that way somehow. Because our cycles can be looked at independently. But there's still this missing planet X. And you've been told the whole time. We know everything. NASA says that we know everything because there's a missing planet that we haven't found yet. That's why we know everything. And that's why when we claim that the Voyager satellite will be decommissioned in 7 years and it lasts for 68, we're like, oh, that just shows how great we are. Yeah, still working. Still going. Because it feels good. That's why. Shit feels good. We love believing in space. You heard the presentation yesterday, right? You heard this guy yesterday when he said, let's see. No, shouldn't have done that. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Yeah. He told you.
Now,
This
the
guy.
sensational story spread among the locals, and today it is the stuff of national legend, of vast conspiracy theories, even sizable profits for those.
Right? National legend. Major conspiracy theory. Right? He said we had to abandon jumping out of a balloon at Mach 2, breaking the sound barrier with a balloon jump because it wasn't sexy enough. The colonel told you. The CIA wanted something more mystical. They wanted something more powerful. And they got it. They got it, and we bought it. Why? Because we're this. This is where we're at with our compassion right now. Are they honoring George Floyd? Is this how we honor Black lives? Is that how it happens? Is this how we win the space race? Yeah, it probably sounds like I'm bitching. I don't mean to sound like that. Just have to understand where we're at, like on a collective level. Like what it is we are willing to accept and what it is we're not willing to accept. Because we're not willing to accept a lot, guys. I seriously have someone writing me saying how disappointed he is in me that I doubted Wayne L. Sexton. That's a problem. And it shows you where this is at. And it shows you how long it's been in place with the corona, right? With the corona program, excuse me. Anyway, I'm going to land this plane, this U-2 plane. I want you to remember, though, there's not one of you. Unless you call me up and we build an airship, unless we start carving our own uranium. Oh, by the way, uranium-1 scandal, whatever that is, it would not surprise me one bit if we find out that's related to helium. Because that's how you make helium, is you peel it off uranium. It would not surprise me one bit. Every molecule of helium that's manufactured in the U.S. is bought by NASA with your tax dollars. There's got to be something more to that. It's There already was something more to that, right? Then we grounded all the airships. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thanks for the bumps with this new technology. Looks like I've been able to successfully stream to both. I'd like to recommend you guys to maybe consider checking me out on DLive. I say that because I was pretty disappointed that yesterday's stream was demonetized. That's some serious work went into that one, and it stinks that that they demonetized it. Thank you so much to my patrons and the super chatters. I missed some of you guys yesterday. I'm sorry, it was just such a busy presentation, and I've gotten some super chats in today, so thank you. You guys definitely showed me the love. But if you consider DLive, it might be a better platform for me just because of the demonetization. Like I said, the last 12 episodes, which have been some serious cool stuff. I mean, I'm not saying all of it, but they've been some pretty interesting things. Out of the last 12 episodes, 10 have been demonetized, and that stinks. Thanks, Joseph Paul. Thanks, aka Elvis Bear. I do appreciate all the support, guys, and I'm definitely getting it. The patrons too. We've got record signups on Patreon. It's been great. Catherine Hopkins, thank you for the super chat. I see you in there too. And DLive, guys, thanks a lot for the. I have to learn how all this works, but I just want to tell DLive, thanks, guys. This is the first time I've gotten like tips on DLive. I'm usually throwing them in Bearville, so this is great. Yeah, I'm on DLive now. Please tell your friends. I'm gonna try and stream to both as much as I can and see how this works. Got a big show coming up about the truth of the Civil War. Can't wait to show it to you. Really looking forward to that. And if there's more stuff to say about satellites, I'm happy to it. But guys. There are 33 satellites that we know of. I'm sorry, there are 33 U-2 spy planes that we know of that are in constant orbit around the Earth. Check it out, half of those U-2 spy planes completely automated. No pilots. No human pilots. Please consider that it would be stupid to try and launch a rocket, try and tape a roll of quarters to the top of a bottle rocket, and try and get it at a speed where it hits orbit or whatever the fuck they're calling you that they're doing it. Please understand how cheap and effective it is, how we've been perfecting this technology since 1952 to launch a balloon, a satelloon, on a freaking balloon larger than the Superdome. Balloons as big as the Superdome since the 50s have been deployed. Every molecule of helium has ever been produced is held into this process, is put into this entity. And when that giant balloon, the drone chute shoots it off, that top balloon is gone. It's garbage now. And another drone chute opens up, and that drone chute is scooped up by the very plane I showed you, a C-19. And yesterday I showed you the landing pad in Antarctica where those planes are sat, where they're resting and ready to go. 33 U-2 planes that we know of, half of them that we know of are automated. Why would you need a satellite when you can have an automated U-2? When you could lease space under a CIA clown car, U-2s are clown cars in space. And you can lease space underneath that wing if you're elite enough and put your own camera on there and call it Google Satellite. And legally, you'd be telling the truth. And this is why Eric Schmidt works at the Pentagon now, the former CEO of Google, or CTO. This is why when you look at pictures of Antarctica, you don't see anything. This is why when you look at the Earth, they show it to you as a ball. Exact same reason why the USGS was started, the exact same reason why England created the first international map and claimed it would be more accurate than any other map, so why bother? Why bother using anything else except for our maps? There's no reason for countries not to do this. There's no reason for countries not to work together to have Sputnik scares, to have nuclear arms scares. All it does is give them more money because people like us are surrounded by people like this. If this was space, she's moist for space. Whatever the issue is, people will gather on the gravesite of a stranger. No matter the issue, people will gather on the site of someone's death and use it to suck virtue. That's all it takes. And you can initiate a giant cult of space nuts, of Black Lives Matter fetishists, right? Of nuclear bomb fearers, all of it. It's so easy. Guys, why would they not do it? Ask yourself that. Why would they not do it? It's hilarious after you try and find a way to not take it so seriously. It's our fault for taking them so seriously so long. We're too uncomfortable with not knowing things. I'm going to end this now. I know I said that earlier. Thank you for being here. And may all of you find a black woman who will lay her hands on you and give you virtue. And may you pull those virtue molecules into your face and realize that you're 3% less racist now. And that's a good thing.